The Tuesday morning of the 25th week. This is a gospel, I tell you. Let me read it. You got to see it. This is it, what I want to describe as a radical gospel. And think of who he's writing. This is Luke, okay? Who he's writing to. He's writing to Gentiles who never knew Christ personally, but who are Christians because of the preaching of St. Paul, the preaching of the church. Okay, you gotta see it, just like you and I. You and I never saw Christ, okay? But we believe in him. Why? Because the church has presented him to us, okay? But this is so interesting because he is radicalizing, Luke is radicalizing who we are as Christians, that we are as intimate to Christ as is possible at all, okay? And in so doing, he's globalizing the faith. Remember, Luke is trying to tell the Gentile Christians, you are equals to the Jewish Christians. There is no difference. So he uses an example here that must have blown their minds because the center of tribalism is the home, okay? You have to think of it as in concentric circles. You begin with your family, especially your parents, your sibs. Your family comes first in a tribal religion. Then you expand outwards, your cousins, your uncles, your aunts. You keep moving outward, okay? Your neighbors, you keep moving out. And it's called inside, outside the pale, okay? Your blood relatives, your members of your neighborhood, your family, your familial neighborhood, you keep moving out. Your nationality, your ethnic group, etc. You keep doing it until you reach a point where you're seeing strangers. And when you see a stranger, you owe him nothing. You get it? There is the strength. It is tribal by blood and location and ethnicity, etc. That's how it works. I didn't say that well, okay? But you owe nothing to the foreigners. To a Jew, a Roman is an outsider, okay? He's an outsider. Think of Luke now, who's writing to the Gentiles, who's an outsider. He himself is. And he's saying, we are insiders. We are not outsiders because we are believers. Now, I read you the text, okay? When you see this text, the Jews must have been scratching their heads. This guy's nuts, okay? But the Gentiles said, oh, okay. I get it. Watch what he says. The mother, now think of concentric circles out. Who's closer than your mother and father and your sibs, okay? In this culture, in this ethical culture, moral culture, they're the center. They're the core center. They're primary. The mother of Jesus and his brothers came to him, but were unable to join him because of the crowd. They're outside, but they are the insiders inside a religion, the religion of ethnicity, the religion of culture, you see, blood, the tribal religion. He was told, your mother and your brothers are standing outside and they wish to see you. That would make a moral claim upon him of absolute morality, moral intensity. Your mother is asking of you? You have to respond. The whole moral architectonic is based on that relationship, the intimacy of the family. Okay? Get it? Now watch what he says. Holy moly. He said to them in reply, my mother and my brothers. So he's accepting, in a sense, the intimacy of the relationship. Are whom? Those who hear the word of God and act on it. He's telling the Gentiles, you are equivalent to my mother, my brothers. You are equivalent because you have heard the word that I have preached and you have acted on it. See? You have heard the word of God and have acted on it. See, you can't get a more radical homily than that, a preaching sermon in that. Luke is saying, gang, we're all the same because we are believers. This is not blood that unites us, but by faith. That's a core of St. Paul's preaching. He had to break the church loose from its Jewish ties in order to generalize, to globalize it. It's exactly what he did. It's not a blood tie, it's by faith. And Luther had it right, Glaube aligned, faith and faith alone. It's faith that unites us, then the sacraments that come from and express the faith. Okay? So it makes no difference whether you're an Asian or American, whether you're an Italian in Rome or an Irishman in Ireland. It makes no difference where you're from. You're equivalent, you're equally Christian by the fact you are a believer and a baptized believer. Take it one step further, that you are the church. And now I think we're seeing that in beautiful form as we see the church globalizing herself. What's the difference between a Chinese Christian Catholic in Hunan province and the Pope? None. No difference as a Christian. Functionally different, yeah, different roles. The roles we play are different, but not the intimacy of belonging. Not the intimacy of belonging. You know, that was important to me, I think, because when I grew up, I had such a terrifying fear of God. I really did. I had such a terrifying fear. Well, it was the preaching of the 50s and what we were taught in kindergarten, in Sunday school, etc. And then it was, I told you this a million times, well, not a million, but close. Abbot Marmion's Christ, the Life of the Soul. And the intimacy that I learned about our relationship to God was one of faith and love, and that God loved us, that he loved us. It essentially what Abbot Marmion was doing was teaching St. Paul, the theology of St. Paul. And then I realized that God loved me the way my father loved me, my father and mother loved me. And then it radically transformed me. I owe so much to the order because that's who taught me it, both in the confessional preaching and the books they recommended to read. I remember Father Simon Wood recommended to me to read Christ, the Life of the Soul by Columba Marmion. That book transformed my life. If there was any one book that changed my life, it's that book. I can remember I was in my second year of seminary, how excited I was when I was reading it. Yeah, because I saw what I never saw before, the love of God, which was a parental and a sibling love. Christ is my brother, see? God is my father. The Spirit is my mother. That's the truth. I have never feared God since then. If I do fear anything, is that I will dishonor him. When I left home, my father were not crazy about me going to seminary. No, they never pushed me. In fact, my mother said, "You're nuts." You're nuts. You like girls too much. She told you, "You'll never make it." Well, so far so good. Whatever. But I remember what my mother said when I would never disgrace our family name, but live freely. Do whatever you want, but never disgrace our family. Yeah. I told you my father said, he put it a little more crudely. He said, "If you make a goddamn fool out of yourself, I'll shoot you." He just being a little more blunt. But the whole point was you honor your family. You honor it by the quality of your life and your service to your family, and whatever that is, you see. And that's always what I think. I got to do it my way, like Frank Sinatra sang. I'm not going to do it somebody else's way. But I hope I have always done it in an honorable and a faithful way, that I have loved the people and the church that God gave me, see? And the role that I play in life, that I've been called to. Even a college professor, I love my students. I love being with them. I told them that yesterday. I love you kids. I'm seeing you the hope of tomorrow. Don't let anybody take it away from you. Believe in yourselves. You're beautiful and you're smart. Lead, don't follow. As I tell them, see? That comes from my heart and soul, see? I believe in it. I believe that's my job. What I'm called to do is witness the hope of tomorrow to a student in the light of Christ, but in also the light of their own genius, you see? I hope I am faithful to what I've been called to. I mean that. I hope when I die, God said to me, just what Junie said, you are faithful.